Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see Viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Well, we can see the Rhino Viper left me a present. She's tucked in her back in her log, so she was out on the move last night when we came in to feed the water cobras, or the dwarf water cobra, which we feed after dark. Unfortunately, she's, after years of having her, she just is not interested in eating mice like the large male water cobra. So the difference is the large male was captive born, and once they're captive born, they're easier to get switched to rodents. So what I have to do is I have to provide her with some usually bass shiners, and I throw in a few rat pinks, and she usually eats that without much fuss, and that takes care of it. So the Rhino Viper was out after dark last night and quite upset because the snakes that come out at night usually are not so happy to see us. Snakes are very secretive animals and really sort of prefer to remain hidden. That's why I usually provide them with hiding spots. So, fortunately, Rhino Vipers and gaboons and puff adders and such, the large bittus, don't defecate very often. So, this is a once in a while cleanup. Pink usually defecates about every 10 to 11 weeks, pretty much. You could almost set your watch to it. I think this comes from their lifestyle in the wild. They lie along game trails hunting, and when it comes time to defecate, they do so and then vacate that location because their scat tips off any animals coming by. So they sort of take a dump and move on to another location, so they're not easily found out that there's something bad hiding in the weeds. So that's pretty much it for the cleanup on the Rhino Viper. The Russell's Vipers usually get fed on Saturday. It's Sunday, but you can see this one is poised for a treat. However, a little bit. These guys are very snappy. There's also a pile of poo back there that I'm going to retrieve. Oh, there's a boatload of flies too. Holy cow. Oh, it went spicy. It hasn't gone spicy in a while. These carrion flies are a real nuisance because they propagate, go from place to place. They're annoying, potentially vectors for any animals that come into the quarantine room and are there for 6 months under quarantine before they join the regular collection. But the flies don't really have any boundaries, so we try to keep their levels down. I don't know if you can see her, but she seems to be relaxing from the being very spicy to a little bit more relaxed position. It's also a good time to water them. Now, these are from Pakistan, or from a very dry area, but I'm really not happy with this reptile bark substrate. Seems to be a little bit too dry. The cypress mulch that is down below in the bottom cage seems to retain some moisture a lot better. And as soon as I have the time, I'm going to change these all out onto cypress substrate. Are you looking for a feed, huh? Even though I give these guys a full-size mouse once a week, they're always looking for an extra treat. Not only this one here in this cage, but this one right here, coming up its window, is looking for food, aren't you, huh? Even though I fed you yesterday. Oops. I'm not paying attention to the camera. I'm paying attention to the snakes, of course. I just cleaned the glass and it's already smudged it up with mucus. That's not venom. I'm not sure what their deal is, but I think it's more of a problem that they're on that substrate. Now this is sort of an old expired, it's from October, Hot Shot Pest Strip, which kills the flies pretty damn quickly. I don't like leaving it in the snake cages too long because it can be toxic for the snakes, so I'll just leave it in there for 24 hours and see if that knocks some of those flies down that are in there. Whoops! You always have to be careful because sometimes the glass on the vision cage doesn't quite close all the way. There's some sort of bump or defect there from a rivet that catches the plastic. So we always have to pay attention to make sure the cages are shut and locked. For those that have locked and shut, for just the ones that we don't lock, they all have a stick, and the stick is there for two reasons. One, it keeps the windows from rattling as we move down around the room, or when there's some heavy truck traffic on the roads. And two, it impedes the ability of the snake to slide open the glass. They will do that, can do that, have done that. So we certainly try to prevent them. Now these locks that you see are quite expensive. I bought a dozen of them. They were almost $300. But it's worth it for that sort of amount of security. Oh, and you're yawning and Well, it's too bad you can't see all the action going on. The guy in the bottom cage was yawning, where I replaced his water dish and cleaned some poo. This guy on top is just sort of sitting there, but he's waiting for something to eat, but he's got poo I got to clean too. So, all right, well, that's enough with the Russell's Vipers. I'm going to shut the camera down because I'm moving on to my next task of the day. Well, I'm here feeding the Russell's Vipers, and sorry for the dirty glass. They rub their face on it, it gets all messy and such. But I couldn't find this guy, and I looked over here in the corner, and there's a not so good surprise. Vision cages have this ledge on top where snakes can hide, and certainly they do. So let me see if I can entice it to eat. And I could indeed get it to eat. I don't necessarily like rewarding what I consider to be bad behavior, but I still want the animal to eat. There's no reason to withhold food, even though I'd rather have it on the cage floor in proper striking position and not in a place where it could be hazardous when entering the cage. But these are the things you have to think about whenever you're entering a cage with a venomous snake in it. So we'll just give this guy some water and shut the door and move on.